Let's try a different style of video, shall we? I have a air fryer here that I bought from the local ASDA store. And I thought, let's take it apart because it was fairly cheap and it would be interesting to see the construction of what's inside. It's very, very black. Sorry about that. It means it's not going to show up so well, but the insides will once we start taking them apart. So the drawer pulls out. For those who don't know, it's basically a tiny little convection oven. I'll put that down there out of the way. And inside you can see the heat element there, and there is also a little fan. Can I ping that fan? And it circulates the hot air. So let's get into this. It's very simple. This one's not got the electronic control. This one simply has a timer that goes ping, and it's got the thermostat. The thermostat, notably, its little sensor is in here. Now these things they have two distinct sections. They've got the hot air section where it's blowing very hot air, like 200 degrees Celsius, to basically make potato fries or chips into the internal cavity, but it's also got an outer shell, and air is blown across that outer shell, including the drawer itself, and sort of air basically enters the top and exits, I believe, from the bottom. Yeah, there's vents around the side, and that's what keeps the case cool and basically stops it from melting. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into this. First thing I've noticed is the cable entrance here has a little cover over it. Let's take that off. Is this going to fit? Is this going to fit? Yes, it is. It's Torx. So let's whip these. Let's drop the screws on the floor. The screwdriver. Let's whip these screws out and see what's under the cable entrance. Probably just a cable grip. So this comes off, and we have heat-resistant cable. Heat-resistant cable here with crimped and sleeved joints. Okay. Righty-ho. Hopefully that's not going to get in the way. That's odd. I wonder if it's just so they can put on different countries' leads very easily. And also, beyond this point is where they have to have heat-resistant cable, because everything does get very hot inside. Okay, let's get some more screws out here. And I'm seeing 5 screws are visible. So let's get those screws out. This is just basically, I'm going to take this apart completely. I don't really mind cutting wires in it. It was cheap. I just thought it'd be quite good to take apart and see what useful components there are inside it, because it will contain that. I mean, it looks like a completely separate assembly for the fan and heater, and that could be useful. Think if you had something like vac forming, where you wanted a fairly high power heater with the circulating fan. I'm not sure if that'd be useful for that, but you could theoretically make a sort of almost like an enclosed oven using this, because this is an oven. If you've not come across air fryers yet, imagine it as being the partner to the microwave in being the bachelor or bachelorette's best friend in the kitchen. I use mine so much. They are just indispensable. Unlike the microwave, they make things crispy. So that I've taken those screws out. Is this clipped? Oh no, it's the outer shell that the heat goes across. So now this is very black, isn't it? They didn't do a lighter coloured version. And this is where this is going to become a nuisance. Okay, I'm going to have to cut these wires here at the crimps, because otherwise I'm not going to get this out. So there's one wire cut, there's another wire cut, and another wire. And the bottom part is off, the outer shell here. Put that down there. First thing I'm noticing in here is the micro switch. The micro switch here is the bit that when you slide the drawer in, apparently it kills power to the whole unit. So that's a safety feature that it'll only run once the drawer is fully closed. As soon as you pull the drawer open, it cuts everything off. So let's start taking more screws off. Can I get that? Is that a spade terminal? It is a spade terminal, but it's going to be one of those super duper tough spade terminals that just refuses to come off. I'll drop more tools on the floor. Can you tell? I'm not really used to doing Videos like this here. This is a primary workbench though, where real work happens. Amazing things have happened at this bench. I've just physically broken that switch. Anyway, that's not going back together, and off comes the wire. Well, that's a deciding factor. Right, screwdriver. Let's take more screws out. So now this is going to take the whole cooking area off. Incidentally, if you take a look here, you can see the vents, the air flows down over this outer, so this is basically a double wall with that cool air flowing over the outside. My guess is, and it's just a guess, and it's the most logical guess, is that the motor that stirs the hot air inside the cooking cavity also blows the cold air over the outside. It makes sense. It is a very cheap device, so there's going to be one motor for everything. The timer mechanism is clockwork. It makes that ticking noise when it's running. So let's get these screws out. There's quite a lot of them. I don't know if I mentioned, there's a football match going on next door. You may hear cheering occasionally. It's quite loud. There's clearly something major happening. I believe it's a European Championship football match. Looks very well attended. I was out at the shops earlier on and it was mobbed. Here is the base now. Oh, here's the bit we're looking for. Here's the bit we're looking for. See that lovely fan in the back and that heat element. And there is the thermostat. Now, what else can we take apart? Do you know what else I'm noticing here? See the little vent at the back? You get a continuous flow of very hot air out. It's basically throwing, the fan is throwing, it's not just circulating the air inside, it's throwing a very small percentage out the back to keep the steam from building up inside. Now I know why it doesn't steam up. What have we got here? More screws. Out come more screws. Let's see what exciting stuff we can find inside. Will I have to pull the knobs off to get the top off this? I would guess I probably do have to do that. But we'll find out when I get there. Oh, there's lots of screws in here. Lots of screws. Don't know if I need to take them all out, but I'm going to take them all out because it just seems a logical thing to do. There's another screw. So when you think about it, this was £20. The equivalent price in America would be $20 because that's how it works. Although the exchange rate is not the same, the price usually matches. Whatever is advertised online for sale in America and the UK, the price is usually just the same with the dollar changed to a pound symbol. We pay a bit more because this is a smaller country with a lot of very, very hungry mouths to feed. And I'm talking the business people. Right. Okay. Lots of small screws now. Oh, these are the ones that for the drawer. The drawer, it also has, I'll show you this. Hold on, I'll just get this screw out. To make that decisive clunk when you push the drawer into it, I've just spotted this. It has, oh, let me get this screw out. Two little spring-loaded ball bearings here that are basically so the drawer slides in and goes chink into position. Lovely. Here's another screw, and I think that's all the other ones we've got here. The match is finished. I hear people outside. Now, what's happening here? This frame, this inner frame, is now coming off to reveal the heater assembly and the fan. Is this going to come out? It's not coming out. Why not? Right, I'll take more screws out. That's what I'll do. Oh, there's the... I said ball bearings. Here's what they actually are. They're springs and little dimples like that. I've just dropped a spring. I don't care. This was got to take apart for our edutainment. I think the winning bit so far is going to be this assembly here. It's the main bit of the whole thing. These are just absolutely mass-produced to death now because they have just taken off. Imagine a convection oven, not a convection oven, but a fan-assisted oven, but with a drawer. And it has almost an instant heat-up time because there is nothing to heat up. It's a very low area to do it. Okay, here's the inside. Right, tell you what, let's get some wires off. How am I going to get the... So there's the thermostat. There is the indicator, the top little... It's got just one neon indicator in it. It's got two neon indicators, orange and green, one for heating and one for heated. But the way it's done, I'm going to have to get this unclipped. It's not unclipping. Bear with me one moment again, please. You're welcome to skip forward over these boring bits when nothing's happening. Because there's going to be a lot of them. That's what it's like taking stuff to bits. So there's the little diffuser that was used to diffuse the two neon indicators, which are now just sticking up here. And they should theoretically just pull out now. Yeah, they're folded down. They're poked through the middle, and then they're folded down. Now, I'm going to have to pull the knob off now. Sexalicious. Oh, that's the bit that gets me demonetized on YouTube. They're being very Karen these days. They're doing a lot of annoying things these days. They're bugging my boobalubas. Melons. I'm trying to say things that will not upset the Karens. It's very difficult. Everything upsets the Karens, and unfortunately, while YouTube is pandering to their every whim, that's not helpful. Here's another knob I just pulled off here. I'm just removing knobs from the front. Lots of screws. And then we'll see what we got. Oh, I've already spotted the fan. The other fan, it's not on the other side of the motor as I was expecting. Oh, yeah, that stops the heat flowing up the shaft. Ah, right, I'll show you this in a minute. So that's the next screw out. There's lots of screws. Lots of people in China having fun with screwdrivers in that factory. Maybe not having fun. Is there a last shot thermal fuse anywhere? Oh, there's another bit. Right, okay. Right, okay. So here's the motor. It's a shaded pole motor, and it's got a little plastic fan inside. And as well as pulling air down and directing it over the outside here, it's kind of pulling air in from various points on the unit. It's probably pulling air up from the bottom and out, but it's also ejecting out the back. And the reason it's doing that is because if it was left just to the heater section, it would be very hot air coming out the back. So it's diluting it with cold air as well, because that would be 200 degrees Celsius air coming out the back. So it's diluting it with cold air, but it's also pulling that air in through all the slots in the machine, so the air is flowing in from the bottom and the top, and it's flowing through the case to keep it cool, but then it's being ejected with this little fan in here. Can you see that fan? It's being ejected through this port as well. And that also means the motor at the top is being kept cool by the fact there's always air being pulled into the top here. The neons, there's the little clockwork timer switch with its bell in the back. Ting. Lovely. And there's the thermostat with a very short link going down to the case, where it is just basically the capillary bulb is down here. Is there anything else to say about this? There is something else in there, but it's not so easy to get access to now without removing the fan blade. Can I do that? Is this going to work, or is it locked on tightly? Not so sure about this. I think this has been really crimped on tightly in the factory, which means it's going to be trickier to get that out. Can I lower this down and take a look? I'm looking for the last shot, the OMG, everything's about to burst into flames thermal fuse. I don't think I'm going to be able to see that. I may have to pause momentarily while I look for this. So I shall pause momentarily while I try and open this, so this doesn't turn into an arduous video. So I shall pause now. And resume. I've got a lot more to show you now. Here's the shaded pole motor here. Oh, there's data written in the shaded pole motor. The football match next door is over. Lots of people are shouting, they're jubilant. I'm thinking the visiting team probably won by the fact I don't have a clue what they're saying. 220, 240 volt, 50, 60 hertz. TP. Doesn't really tell you a lot. Shenzhen Zaoli Motor Limited. And interestingly, the construction is like this. They've got a nice, solid frame for the motor here. And then this motor literally just sits on loose. There's a washer, and then this, should I say, this fan blade just sits on loose. And then when the whole assembly's put in, they put another washer in, by the look of it, and then a aluminium spacer. Then they put the fan that is trapped in here. Do you want to get that out? I think you do. Oh, that's riveted in. Oh, that's not so easy to get out. That is riveted in. That's not... Oh, I know how to get this out. Hold on. Just give me a second. Let's go the full works. I've pulled the thermal fuse. It's rated 216 degrees Celsius. That seems quite close to the upper temperature this thing can go of 200 degrees Celsius. I think it's just based on the fact that the cowling is going to have cooling on one side. Not sure. Heating element. Heating element. There is a rivet here. That's a bit annoying. Holding this in, loud squeaky creaky noises. Oh, this is not ideal. Hold on. The fan. So then the fan gets put on that little spacer. Let's get back to spacers here. I've just dropped the spacer. Space gets put on, then the fan gets put on, and it's got a keyed slot in it. Well, it's got a shaped port to actually go on properly. Then a spring washer, then another big washer, and then the reverse threaded nut, which is why it was not coming off. So you literally have to unscrew it to get it on. But once it's on, this is what the fan assembly looks like out of the packaging, the cold side and the hot side. So there we go. That's interesting. Shaded pole motors are basically, they're AC motors, but they've got a shunt across the motor stator is divided into two sections, and they put on each side, and they've got a copper shunt round them, and it causes a phase shift and gives it direction. Right, okay, so now looking at the control assembly, we have the little pinger here. We've got the thermostat with its capillary tube and its sensing end, its little vial. And then we've got the thermal fuse here, which was sleeved, stuffed through, sleeved quite heavily. And it's just a standard little thermal fuse. It's a one-shot thermal fuse, 216 degrees Celsius. If that goes, your airfare will cease to be, which is annoying because quite often they do go. But that's what happens. And the little clockwork timer, which the terminals are so tight on these, but it's another little useful 30-minute electric timer. Has two terminals, and basically you can set it, and it'll tick until the time is up. And then go ping. But not while you're holding it. It won't go ping. Ping. But that's it. That's what's inside them. Pretty much what you'd expect. And to be honest, this housing here this assembly here is the bit you're interested in, because it's got the fan, it's got the heater, it's got the thermostat and everything connected to it. So it could actually be quite useful for creating heated chambers for other applications. And that's sometimes what it's good to get mass-produced products for. Just strip them apart and use all the bits for other applications. Because to buy, I mean, that whole unit was £20. What you got was this heating element, which would probably cost £20 on its own. Plus you got the stirrer fan and a thermostat and a timer. It makes it a very good option for getting specific components. But there we have it. That's what a teardown of an air fryer looks like. I strongly recommend air fryers. If you live on your own, or even if you have a family, they're just so much faster than the oven. You don't have to wait for the oven to heat up. You just slam the stuff in the air fryer, set it, and it's done in a fraction of the time it would take in the oven. They're great things, and also quite fun to take apart.